Alright, so I've had no bones lately, so I thought it'd be fun to just do a simple tier list video. And why not do that with Denis Villeneuve? He had a movie that came out recently. He's one of my favorite directors. So let's go. I've got all his filmography set up here. There's no F on the scale because I don't think he has an F-worthy movie. We're going to do it in release order. Let's do this. Alright, so the first one up is Aout Sur Terre. I just saw this one recently. It's his first film, and it shows. You know, it's good. It's very good, especially for a first feature film. But it's kind of basic. It does this thing that a lot of early filmmakers do, where there's not a lot of plot. It's just one or two characters' inner turmoil, and they expand it with bigger choices in the direction. He's got stuff like whip pans and big flashy music choices, and all of it work in the context of the film, but that's not really what I'm looking for from a Denis Villeneuve film. I'm gonna give this one a D? Yeah. Okay, second film up is Maelstrom. I haven't seen this one yet. I thought I did, but I apparently haven't. I don't know why I thought that, but up until like 30 minutes ago when I was looking up the movie, I thought I had seen it, but I haven't. Yeah, Maelstrom. Only one I haven't seen. I'll get to it soon. Polytechnique is a really heavy movie. It's not the kind of movie I typically like. I don't like heavy dramatic work based on real life events. I feel like that sort of turns real tragedy into entertainment in a way that I'm not comfortable with. That said, Polytechnique is a fantastic movie, phenomenally directed. It's very heavy, very dark, and he does a great job. Denis hasn't really developed his style at this point yet. You're seeing glimpses of it, but it's very documentary style in the way he shot it. He's also still going for a very directed look at times with very stylish camera movements to emphasize moments. And that's something that he pulls away from later in his career. He becomes a very objective filmmaker in a lot of ways. I think that's the right term. Anyways, Polytechnique, really good, though not my taste. So I'm gonna put it as a C. It's probably a B or an A movie, but for my tastes, it's gonna stay there. Alright, so now we got Incendies, and that's the last of his like early French-Canadian indie films before moving on to Hollywood. Well, not really, but we'll get to Enemy. We'll get to Enemy. It's loosely based on true events, loosely based on a play, and the acting in it is fantastic. The cinematography, while it's not quite where he gets to soon, it's very much in that direction. The way he uses the camera, the language of film that he's speaking in, I guess, is closer to what we know him for now. And I really like that. But at the same time, again, this is not the kind of movie that I like. So it's not going to be as high as it probably should be. I'm going to put it at B. Yeah, B. I'm comfortable with that. I don't care if you're comfortable with that. Do I? We're going with B. Trust me on this. We're gonna get through. We're gonna have a great list by the end of this. Don't you worry. You and me. We're in this together. All right, we're heading into Prisoners now, and this is where I more or less discovered Denis Villeneuve. Well, I had already seen Polytechnique before this, you know, living in Montreal and all that. It makes sense to have seen a film based on our real tragedy. It was Prisoners that put him on the map as a director for me. I also find it interesting because the first 4 films he wrote or co-wrote, and at this point he went to Hollywood and sort of became a hired gun, proving that you don't have to author your films to be an auteur, because this is his style. It is the style he has refined from this point onward. And it's just fantastic. It's a great mystery film, great thriller. And this is my kind of movie. I like stuff like this that is dark, but not based on reality, but feels similar to the real world. Well, that's a lie. That's not my only taste in films, obviously, if you don't know me. No. But we're going to get into that. I'm giving Prisoners an A. I think the directing is top notch. I think the way he had a scene that it was like raining and then it turned to snow. I've never seen that in film before, but it felt so real to me. Next up, we've got Enemy. It was made before Prisoners, but came out after because it was a smaller, more independent production. And it is a Canadian production. It's shot and takes place in Toronto, which, if you ask me, Toronto versus Montreal, it's Montreal every day. Yeah. The movie's fantastic. It, again, types of movies I'm into. I'm into the, dark thriller mysteries. I'm also into weird art films, and this has these weird, uncomfortable vibes. It leaves an audience-shaped hole in the narrative for us to fill with our own interpretations, and that's fantastic. You can't do something like that with Prisoners, but with this movie, it's a must. Comparing these two back to back is such a different experience, and it's great to know that they were made so close together with some of the same people involved. But at the same time, they both work really well at what they are doing. And I'm going to put Enemy in upper B. Is it a better film than Incendies? Probably not, but it's the one I prefer. So that's what we're going with. Alright, Sicario. This is his follow-up to Prisoners in terms of, big Hollywood theatrical films, and it's really good. The performances from the cast are great. His camera work, his score, everything that he gets everyone to work on is really great. I think it's weak in the second half. The beginning of the film just keeps ratcheting tension further and further and further up until the highway scene. And then you get that tension release, and it's a fantastic moment. But I feel like there's a little bit of a lack of momentum after that. You're kind of re-ratcheting tension, and it doesn't work as well because we've had that release. But that's by design, and I think the second half has some great cinematography in it. I think boiling it down to a revenge story lessens the impact, but that's a scripting problem. I think he does a great job directing us. Now, is this... This is the thing. I don't know if this is a lower A or an upper B. No, we're gonna put it upper B for now, but I might move it. Yeah, that's what we're going with. Alright, for anyone who knows me, you're probably thinking, Greg, when are you going to talk about Arrival? You gotta talk about Arrival. When are you going to talk about Arrival? Right goddamn now. Arrival is so good. So good. Everything about this movie just hits for me. It's a big, heady sci-fi that grounds itself in its characters to make the film more relatable. It's got gorgeous visuals. Everything about it just really hits for me on every level. I love Arrival. I've got an Arrival tattoo because the film just means so much to me in ways I can't describe, because it's one of the few films that when I saw it in theaters, I just sat there in awe of it. And you don't get that a lot in film, especially once you start getting into movies and start understanding how films are made. A bit of that awe leaves you. But Arrival did that for me. Arrival 100% absolutely is my S tier. I think I might catch a little heat from this, But here we go. I've seen a lot of people say Blade Runner 2049 is Denis' best film, and it's better than the original. I disagree. It's fantastic, don't get me wrong. It is better than this film has any right to be, because it is a great film. Every announcement they made about cast and production crew during pre-production of this film was spot on. I kept saying to people, are they making this film just for me? It's a great experience. Seeing it on the big screen was phenomenal. Seeing it at home, still great. But I'm feeling a strong B. You know, okay, I'm gonna have to do some fidgeting with all this after I'm done, but I'm gonna put this in B as well. Whew. And finally, the latest film, Dune Part 1. Seen it a few times now. It's really good. It was better the second time, oddly enough. A bit of a lackluster ending because it's trying to set you up for Part 2. I think a ranking for this film will change once Dune Part 2 comes out, and I can sort of look at them as a whole. But as a single piece, okay. I'm going to put Dune in between Blade Runner and Sicario, and I'm gonna move Enemy up because Enemy is probably the Denis Villeneuve film I've watched the most. Is it as good critically, financially, in the grand scheme of high art filmmaking as some of his other work? No. Is this mindless and I can do whatever the hell I want? Yes.
A few minutes later.
Yeah, I'm also gonna put Sicario below Incendies. I prefer Sicario in a lot of ways. I've watched it a bunch of times. It's more of a throw on and enjoy type of movie. And that's generally how this ranking is going. But at the same time, Incendies, it's beautiful. It's beautiful and heart-wrenching, and yeah, no, it's better than Sicario.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Is Sicario a C? Yeah, Sicario is a C. I hate saying that. I love the cast. Emily Blunt is phenomenal. Benicio del Toro, fantastic. Josh Brolin, killing it. They're all great. The cinematography is beautiful. The score is fantastic. It's one of the best scores on this list, I'd say. And maybe it's the sequel leaving a dirty taste in my mouth, because that is not good. But yeah, Sicario is a C. Yeah, that's it. That's my ranking for these. We're sticking with this. Okay. So here we are. Final product. My official ranking of the Denis Villeneuve filmography as it currently stands. You know, it's weird looking at some of his movies and being like, oh yeah, that's a C and that's a D. But that's just in the context of this ranking. I personally have found each of his movies to be one of the best ones released the year they come out. But you know, that's neither here nor there. This is my final ranking. So let me know. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? How would you stack things up? If you could only have one S-tier Denis Villeneuve movie, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, you know, all that stuff that would help me out. Would be great. And until next time, have a good one.